Okay. All right. I'm going to do a little introduction. Welcome to the virtual opening reception for our special online exhibition, Raven Halfmoon, Rumination in Isolation. My name is Laisun Keane, and I'm the owner of Laisun Keane Gallery based in Massachusetts. It is my absolute pleasure to have all of you join me today to celebrate works made during isolation by Native American artist and sculptor Raven Halfmoon. The works are fun and humorous and provides light-hearted reprieve from this whole strange situation we are in right now, the COVID-19 pandemic. We are not only celebrating our resiliency through her art, we are also giving back. 10% of total sales from this exhibition will be donated to the Auntie Project, a non-profit organization founded in Norman, Oklahoma by a group of aunties, indigenous women who wanted to help the helpless within their community. Our donation will directly go to their Navajo Nation's COVID-19 Family Relief Initiative. I'm going to show you an image presentation for the next few minutes. After that, Raven will be giving a talk about herself and her work, followed by Amanda Cobb-Ritham, the president of the Auntie Project, who will say a few words. We will then have a Q&A session for any questions you may have for either Raven or Amanda. Please note that this Zoom session is actually being recorded. I'm actually producing a video from this recording for my website as well as my YouTube channel. So today we get together from all corners of the world to celebrate together. If you have a drink with you, cheers. Okay, cheers to all. So let's get started. I'm just going to share my screen with you guys. All right, wonderful. Okay, this is me, my name. It is spelled that way. Okay, so this is the agenda. I've already I went through that, and this is Raven Halfmoon. So Raven Halfmoon was born in 1991. She was born in Norman, Oklahoma, completed a dual bachelor's degree from University of Arkansas, painting, ceramics, and anthropology. And currently she's a long-term resident artist at the Archie Foundation. She lives there right now for another year, I think. She's the 2019 Museum of Arts and Design's Brooke Prize finalist, 2019 Ceramic Monthly Emerging Artist, and received 2019 Emerging Voices Award from American Craft Council. She has exhibited in the USA, Australia, and Greece. So I would like to show you the works that we have in the exhibition. The first one is Sun Flushed in Montana Sunshine. And this is Straddling Cultural Views and Contemporary Blues. So I'm going through the artworks, but Raven will actually be covering a lot more in depth about herself and her work. So I think afterwards you can ask questions. All these works are actually on my website right now, so later on you can actually take your time and browse at your convenience. This is the third head, Tattoos and Time Management. And at any time of the day, drink. Dr. Pepper for energy swings. Glacier Cherry to fix corona worries. I love her titles, by the way. Did you came up with the titles, Raven?
Yes.
They are so much fun.
Yeah.
This is and we have 8 tiles that you actually made. They're painted tiles that you made, kind of talking about what you do in isolation. Which is I find there are a lot of humor in it, but there are actually 1 or 2 that I think that has a lot of anxiety or critique in them. So maybe we can delve into them a bit more later on. If you love cats, you have a cat, Raven, right?
Yes, I do. His name's Tony, actually. And he is 18 years old and he doesn't have eyes, but he is still kicking.
What did you? I'm sorry. I was wondering whether is there a mistake in the spelling? You called this word geriatric cats.
Yes.
Two cats? Are you talking about yourself as a cat too? Did you?
No.
Okay. So why cats?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it's well, because I wanted it to be plural. So geriatric cats. I have another friend here, and she also has a geriatric cat. So we always talk about like our issues with our cats and drink coffee.
All right, Time Off and Tiger King. So everybody has watched Tiger King except me. Amanda didn't watch either. You are shaking your head. Yeah. And I love this book because the shape of this tile is like a tomb, like a it's. I mean, during this pandemic, we are all worried about our mortality, aren't we? You know, if you go out and touch something, you might catch a virus and die. And then this Tiger King it's such a I'm sorry to say a show that is symptomatic of America's ills. So you know, and then you have this painting of yourself. I think they are your legs, and they look like could be a man's legs, and you have the can of beer, which is very phallic. So there is a lot of message in there. So I love this one very much. So just you know, and this is quarantine lazy days, fishing break. You like fishing, Raven?
I do. Now that I've been in Montana, I've been doing a lot more of it. So it's been fun to get outside and go fishing.
And this is the last book, Red Beers and Stretchers.
Yes.
Okay, and so my website is www.laisunkeane.com, so please check it out. Now I'm going to give the floor to you, Raven, to share the screen, and you're going to make a presentation, right?
Yep.
Okay, great. So
perfect. Okay, well, Kwa'ahat, hello and welcome. Thank you for joining for this virtual opening reception, and thank you for the introduction. It's so awesome to see like all my friends and family and everyone supporting me. So I'm Raven Halfmoon, and I'm a contemporary Caddo artist. So I'm going to start by giving a little bit of history of myself and my background. So I'm originally from Oklahoma, which is home to over 35 federally recognized tribes. I grew up learning a lot about my tribal history as well as American Indian history. And my family is well connected in the Native American community, and I was always encouraged to make art and feel a connection to that. So my family has a lot to do with why I create. My dad works for the chief of the Cherokee Nation in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. My mom is the museum director for the Choctaw Cultural Center in Durant, Oklahoma, and it will be opening later this year. And then my aunt works at the First Americans Museum in Oklahoma that will be opening next spring. So the first photo is shows all the tribal territories in Oklahoma, with Caddo being located in the Midwest. And then the bottom photo shows Caddo citizens, us dancing at the tribal complex in Binger, Oklahoma. So it was really during undergrad when I was at the University of Arkansas that I started to become super interested in my heritage and identity, and I knew that I wanted to express that through art. So I began taking anthropology courses, which truly helped shape what my work has turned into today. So my tribe is originally from the Oklahoma, but also Arkansas area. So I was studying my ancestors' pottery and history, which in turn started to inform my artwork. So this is a bottle that I made on the left during undergrad, and it was my interpretation of an ancient Caddo bottle that I was looking at our archaeological survey center. So the black color or that dark chocolate is and the engraved decorations, also the curvilinear lines denoted on this vessel kind of denote it as a Caddoan vessel. So I wanted to try my hand at creating some. However, I discovered, as much as I appreciated studying ancient pottery and the iconography on the pieces, functional work was really not my passion. So it was at this point that I'm using anthropology research to inform my artwork and really physically manifest these intricate concepts of identity. I started looking at monumental artworks throughout history, as well as continuing to look at the designs of my own ancestors' artwork. I was intrigued with these ancient works and what they meant and how they were created. So I started looking at monumental heads throughout history, such as the Olmec heads in Mexico, also the Easter Island heads. So this research led me to what my work is today. And my work is me continuously trying to understand my place within the world, my place within my tribe, within society, and within the fine art world. So for me, it's necessary to continue this tradition of making and telling and sharing. So my work is also me trying to keep my culture alive by continuing to make, and it's one way that I represent my heritage and my generation. I was always drawn to clay as a material, and the U of A was one of the few places in the world that actually had ancient pots and artifacts and ceramic sculptures from my Caddo ancestors. So I was able to learn significant tribal history, hold these artifacts that were made by my ancestors, while at the same time building a contemporary body of work on a modern platform. So over the past year, I've been focused on building a body of work that reflects how I feel both as a woman and as an American Indian living in the 21st century. I have really strived to illustrate how I feel about my own heritage, while at the same time acknowledging the modern day and age. Each piece reflects my understanding of Caddo tribal culture and truly, a fight to maintain a place for it in today's world. So in my work, I hope to create awareness and really address issues that affect people who share a similar story. So my process starts with an experience or an idea that I want to convey through my sculptures and really feel a need to share with the world. My sculptures are based on my personal history, culture, and my personal experience. I take influence from, again, living as a Native American as a woman. And the artwork is born from Caddo history, cultural heritage, political movements, conversations I have with people regarding Native issues. I'm also super into music and fashion and the internet. And so through my sculptures, I want to tell a story, both how one understands self and culture, but also what defines these ideals in America today. So I would say my favorite part of the process is building and using the clay to push and pull itself into what I have envisioned. I love building and getting my hands dirty in clay. And I enjoy every part of the building process, from coil rolling to shaping details of the face. And in the past, I have painted on 5-foot canvases, so glazing my large heads and my figurative sculptures really truly satisfies me in the same way. And for me personally, I am constantly challenged by the technicalities of ceramics and building large-scale artwork. So the real challenge for me is not the concepts or the ideas for my work, but physically executing these sculptures. Half of the work is not building the sculpture itself, but figuring out how to move it and fire it and unload it in a kiln and then ship it. However, I believe that being challenged is important in my studio practice and imperative for producing great work. So this past summer, I was invited by Tony Marsh to make work at the University of California in Long Beach. So this is where I built this piece, Do You Practice Your Culture? And this was really a wonderful experience for me, and I was able to build the largest work that I've ever created. And my work has always had a gestural looseness to it, and I enjoy seeing the human touch in my work. And I want my viewers to see where I have manipulated and pushed the clay. I also want them to feel the energy and the physicality of clay and ceramics as a material. I don't want my sculptures to look like they've been made by a machine. They're really meant to be powerful, emotional, and experienced. So I draw influence from my cultural heritage, history, and then my own tribe's legacy. So this is always entangled with the influence of my generation and being a millennial. I also take references from pop culture, music, movies, the internet. I feel myself and my artwork are in a constant battle almost of, really understanding traditional tribal knowledge and its importance versus the pressures of a 21st century mindset of a fast-paced kind of money-hungry, materialistic world. So it's important for me to emphasize that Caddo people and American Indian people are still relevant and continuing to build traditions and create with clay today. So my artwork exists to break the mold of the Native American stereotype and to simply say, we are still here, we are resilient, and we are powerful. I really feel that artists are cultural preservationists of our time, and that's why it is crucial for me to continue my practice in the art industry. So with this body of work, I've been focusing on the idea of traditionalism and materialism. It's about balancing traditional knowledge and being in a 21st century materialistic world. And for me, it's trying to strike a balance of representing my tribal identity, but being relevant in today's society and culture. Caddo people are known for their face and body tattoos, and so I use this as a reference when I am glazing my work. And the Chanel is a reference to my generation and the things we value. And I, just like other women, love Chanel. I love fashion brands. This piece is a physical representation of my struggles and the reality of, living in today's world. Craft is an art and practice that acts as a physical manifestation and carrier of culture. And I view the field of craft as a direct line and connection to our past, our history, and our ancestors. I really think this field connects makers and artists and historians through time. And we're gifted the same materials and tools, our hands, as generations before us, and really carry that mantle forward to the next generation of makers. And it gives to us this intimate understanding of material knowledge, form, and process to which we use to share our stories. Craft carries importance and relevance in the handmade that I believe is more important now than ever, especially being in our fast-paced world. Being in this field and using clay really allows me to slow down and pause and create. And this knowledge of creating and making unique handmade objects is deeply empowering for me as an artist. And I feel, the field of craft is creating imaginative problem solvers, masters of material knowledge, and really important artistic figures. So for me, using an ancient material like my ancestors did connects me to them. So I really hope to evolve that art, evolve that craft and that tradition. Looking at ancient Caddo effigy vessels and pottery, and I'm reinterpreting it in a way that is important to me and my artwork. So in the future, I really believe that the art world will continue to grow and further develop innovative and powerful artists and thinkers. And I think it will push makers to embrace this intimacy of material and reflect our modern culture, social and political climate. And I envision craft continuing to make prominent voices and artists in the fine art world. And so this act of expressive creation has always been an important part of my life and continues to be an essential element in my artwork today. So like I said before, identity and heritage are important aspects within my work. And ceramics is something that dates back thousands of years within my tribe. And it's an important art and tradition that has been revered not only in Caddo culture, but across indigenous societies. And these crafts are part of a foundation of our tribal heritage, and they tell our stories and our past from each generation. And I'm just absolutely in love with this material and really thankful that I'm able to share my voice through clay every single day. So the subject matters and issues that I talk about within my work can be very hard and heavy hitting. I'm starting a body of work that is geared towards humor, even if dealing with serious content. This was my actual planner that I use, and it's an image of T.C. Cannon's work titled "His Hair Flows like a River." I wanted to make physical objects that I use on a daily basis that capture to me what it means to be a young Indigenous woman today. And this led me to the current exhibition, Rumination and Isolation. I wanted to build a show that was reflective of what was happening today and to me personally. So this pandemic has been pretty horrific, and I'm truly saddened every day by the number of people that it has affected. It's also left people at home in isolation to their own devices, which led me to capturing these still life moments in my time of Corona quarantining. It's meant to be relatable and humorous in a time when things are difficult for everyone. It's taking a spa day in the shower, drinking red beers at 11 a.m., cutting your own hair, which I totally did, finding that your new best friend is your cat, and going on daily walks to get out of the house, and binge watching terrible reality TV shows. So thank you again for joining me and listening to my talk about my work. So from here, I'm going to turn it over to Amanda, and she's the president of the Auntie Project. And this is an organization dedicated to helping Native children and their families. And I'm donating 10% of everything sold in my show to the Auntie Project, which will help families suffering during the COVID-19 pandemic. So here is Amanda. Thank you, guys. I'm going to turn my screen off. Okay.
Okay. I'll begin by introducing myself. Chokma, Sahosrafowat Amanda Cobb Greetham, Auntie Project Palichili, and Chickasaw. I'm a Chickasaw citizen, and I'm currently serving as president of the Auntie Project Native Women of Service. We are a certified 501c3 nonprofit with the mission of being of service and doing whatever we can to help Native and Indigenous kids in need. And I have several things I'd like to say, but introductions and thank yous always come first. So I would like to take a moment to recognize all of the Auntie Project board members who are on Zoom today. And I see our Vice President, Kathy Haney. Kathy, can you, there, here we go, Kathy Haney. And I saw Leslie Barse a minute ago. Leslie Barse, are you still there? She's been on, I know she watched your whole show. Kathy Haney of the Muskogee Creek, Seminole, Shawnee, absentee Shawnee. You can unmute yourself.
I have no idea how to work these, folks. I'm still trying to figure this out. Well, I had dogs barking earlier, so I'm sorry. I kind of got lost on your question, trying to figure out how to talk. What was that?
I was introducing you, and I was listing your tribes, but there's so many that I got tangled up, and I thought you better.
Okay, so it's Loyal, Shawnee, not absentee, Delaware, Seminole, and Creek, and I'm enrolled Seminole.
Thank you very much. And Leslie Barse, are you on there? Leslie Barse of the Kickapoo Nation, and Jennifer Wilson. Jennifer, are you there? I see Jennifer. I was hoping.
wait.
Jennifer,
Oh, there I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, and I wanted Jennifer to introduce herself, but as well, particularly because she is of the Caddo Nation, the same nation that Raven is a citizen of. Jennifer, would you like to say something?
Yes, I would. Raven, it's so nice to see you.
Hi.
And hi. And Jerry says to tell you hi also. My sister, Jerry Redcorn, and says to tell you hi. And I know you've done some shows with her, but today you're doing a great job, and I love all your artwork that you've done, and they're huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you just see them in a picture, and you kind of see that they're big, but to see them in person, a lot of them are really big, and I don't know how you do that, but it's wonderful. And from the Caddo tribe, we want to congratulate you. Raven is a lovely person, and she's a talented Caddo artist, and we are very proud of her. She comes from a long line of Caddo people, and we're just glad to see you and doing so well.
Thank you,
And you're welcome, and glad to see you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I also, I think if I'm missing anybody, aunties, please let me know. But I would also like to acknowledge Kathy's father, artist Enoch Kelly Haney, Chief Haney, is joining us today as well, who is a cultural leader, a political leader, as well as an artist himself. And I just wanted to introduce him to the room. Chief Haney, are you there?
He is, but I didn't turn on. I need to turn on his speaker.
Yeah.
I think he was doing that because I was close.
Okay.
So you can start now.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
We can hear you.
I don't see anything. So, yeah. Well, I've always been impressed with Raven's work from the first time I saw it. Quite frankly, it is unusual, but there's something about it that tells at least told me that there's some real creativity behind her work, and so I followed her work along, and I appreciate what you are doing, Raven, for this organization as well as for yourself. Good luck in the rest of your future.
Thank you, Kelly. I hope you're doing well.
Well as I can for an old man.
Well, thank you, Chief Haney. And I wanted to take a moment for those introductions because the spirit of our organization is collective. We are a group, we are a nonprofit. Our board members are 15 women from representing many different tribes across Oklahoma. And our whole mission as an organization is to do what we can to be of service to Native American and Indigenous kids in need. And of course, when you're helping children, you're also helping the families. But it's really about what we sometimes call the auntie spirit. And this women there are many cultures who have the figure of the auntie. And that's women in the community who are always there, who show up when somebody needs to show up, who provide support and advice, and very often food and nourishment and love. And that is the kindness and love are the spirit of our organization. We have, we're very new, we're not quite a year old. We've launched 3 initiatives to date, the first of which was in a partnership with the Oklahoma Regional Food Bank, was to help provide food to Indigenous kids in detention at the border. Our second project was to provide emergency food boxes during this pandemic for children who go to the Sovereign Charter School, Native Charter School in Oklahoma City, and we also partnered with the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma for that. And then this, our third project and a third initiative, also grew out of the pandemic, and this is to help our relatives at the Navajo Nation. It grew out of a conversation with a particular friend, Doreen McPaul, who is the Navajo Nation Attorney General. And she said, we're just really being devastated by this epidemic. And this was actually, almost a month ago, and things have further escalated at the Navajo Nation. And, Native peoples have throughout history been disproportionately affected by infectious disease and epidemics such as this, pandemics. And our feeling as the board members of the Auntie Project was, if this is happening again, is there anything we can do to help? Can't we help out somehow? And in conversation with Doreen and the Navajo Nation, we have partnered with the Navajo Nation Department of Family Services, the Navajo Nation's own Department of Family Services, who are aware of families in their nation where the entire family is infected with COVID-19. And as I was saying to Laisun Keane in our interview, just imagine the worst you've ever felt and what you can and can't do for yourself at that time. And then imagine everyone in your family feeling the same way. And who usually helps out then? Well, other people in your community and family. But in an epidemic, in a pandemic like this, the things that we naturally do to gather and help each other become impossible. We can't hug. We can't wrap our arms around someone and provide support. So all we can do right now is to send our prayers and love and good wishes, and in this case, financial donations to Department of Family Services to provide whatever those particular families need, the children and their families. And I would really like to say thank you to Laisun Keane for hosting this exhibit and for selecting someone like Raven Halfmoon, she is this quite obvious from her show. She is a culture bearer, and she does that work every day, and that's a beautiful thing. And she is giving of herself in that. And then we'd also like to say, Yakoke Chogmashki to Raven. You selected us as your charity organization, and we were astounded and thrilled, and that you wanted to help both our organization and the people of the Navajo Nation through your work shows that we are all related and connected, that you are Caddo, but as well, I was thinking, I don't know if you know Gabrielle Tyack, Raven. She's a museum person and artist, but one time she said, and it's always stuck with me, the things we make also make us. And it struck me that she said that in the plural, not just the things I make also make me, but the things we make together also make us. And you talked about cultural perseverance and resilience and carrying culture forward into the 21st century. And that's clear that's what you're doing. And we're so proud for you and so excited for you. And we're excited for all of us in that regard as part of that. So what you're making here with this exhibit, with Laisun, with the Auntie Project, well, I think that is making us all together as hopefully kind and compassionate people. So Chokmashki, Raven, we are grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yay.
Yay. Awesome. Such great speech. Okay, so now if anybody has any questions at all for both Raven and Amanda, please unmute yourself and just pipe up.
I do have a question for Raven, if I could jump in. Hi, Raven. Met you last week stay. Saw your work for the first time. It's intriguing to hear you talk about your work, and it's so clearly rooted in culture and history in your tribe. But I'm just wondering, it's also very postmodern. It's a very new approach. How does how does the folks in your tribe react to the contemporary vision or versions of your work? Do they receive it? Are they puzzled by it? Are they troubled by it? Or do they see it as an extension of the past moving into the future?
I think the latter, as you described. I don't know if you were on earlier, but Jennifer Wilson, who's on the tribal council, she mentioned that, the Caddo Nation is proud of what I'm doing, and I wouldn't continue this work if it was something that was that was imposing or bad for my tribe. So I think it's bringing this history forward and kind of really, for me, I want to have a modern take on it. Now there's amazing Caddo artists that work in traditional pottery and traditional beading, and there's silversmithing, and they make beautiful, beautiful work. And that's something that I am very appreciative of. And, but for me personally, I just am influenced, I am a millennial, so I'm influenced by pop culture and music and so I wanted to take my work in a more take it to a more contemporary platform, more modern platform. I'm also influenced by graffiti, so sometimes my glazing can seem it looks like graffiti work, and I'm influenced by other contemporary painters. So this all has an effect on why I create and the forms that I make and how I glaze, if that answers your question.
It does. And one more quick thing, I don't mean to hog it, but when I saw your work for the first time, it's so overwhelmingly powerful. The scale of it, I don't want to use the word aggressive because that seems negative, so I'll say assertive. But, I'm revealing my ignorance of tribal culture, but as a woman, do you find that challenging to have work that's so challenging in its scale, so assertive, so powerful? Does that intimidate, let's say, the male leaders in your culture?
Yeah, I have definitely had some pushback, but I want the work to be confrontational. That's why I build it large. And I mentioned before, so kind of these other monolithic sculptures such as the Olmec heads and the Easter Island heads, and even other contemporary ceramic artists that make large scale work. This is what I'm drawn to. I really want something to take your breath away when you're around it. Like, I want a moment of quietness from my viewers and a moment of quietness from my audience. And so I really push the scales of my work. And also, they're meant to be confrontational. They're serene, but they're also, none of them are smiling, they're meant to be, kind of put in your face a little bit. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
If I might just pipe in there, Vince, I just wanted to say that, yes, these works are powerful and they're assertive and they're impactful. And I think that is, Native women are strong and powerful, and I just wanted to note that Raven comes from a family of powerful women, and I see her mother is online here, Stacy Halfmoon, and we also know her Aunt Leslie, and I'm not sure if Leslie's on here or not, but she comes from a family of women who are all powerful and do good works all the time, and so Raven, your work clearly continues that tradition.
Yes, that's the goal. That's what I want.
Any more questions?
I had a question. So I was also, I just scrolled through your Instagram, and finding the images of yourself next to your works it really drove home how important that the scale, like we were saying, is to these. Mm-hmm. I was also noting that even in the forms that are like the heads that are basically a one-to-one or slightly larger scale, there's a heavy figurative, the complete figure element to them and the way they interact. I was wondering what your thoughts were about incorporating very the feminine figure into all of your works, and how you kind of approach or think about that in your work.
Yeah. So a lot of, what I talk about is my own experience, and I'm a woman. So I call all of my sculptures and all of my busts and my figures, they are all women. They're her, she, they're women. And so this is because this is my point of view, and I'm sharing with the world my point of view and my experiences and things that I've dealt with in my life. And so I think that's why I always kind of have this, they always have a feminine quality. Even though some of them can be androgynous, they're not meant to look. I also don't want them to look super sexy or super over feminized. Like they're supposed to be grounded. And so that's kind of the idea of where that comes from, and kind of using the woman as a figure too, because also, as Amanda said, like, I'm surrounded by pretty strong women. My mom and my aunt and my grandmother, these were all like powerful women that have had a really important influence on my life and like why I want to create, and have had an effect to the work and how I create. So it's kind of a homage to that, like this, you know, powerful women, and we're not all, like, I'm not small and tiny. Like I build the figure a lot from how I look or how my family looks. And so it's not, again, they're meant to be strong and powerful and yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If I could, I'd like to quickly acknowledge Jerry Redcorn, who just came on the line that I see. Yeah. Jerry is a renowned Caddo potter, and really her work is well known nationally, internationally, and we're so pleased that you could join us today, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry. Any more questions? Any remarks, comments? Tony, yes.
Yeah, I want to say something. Raven, thank you. That was really wonderful. I hadn't really listened to you speak about your work, and that was very powerful. And yeah, and Amanda too. I'm very touched by what you're doing, and I'd like to donate some money. So I'm going to talk to my son about that. And anyone else out there who's listening, I would encourage you to do the same thing if you feel so.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
I think the answer.
Thank you, Laisun.
Donate money if you like, right, Amanda?
Say it again.
There. Sorry, I couldn't hear you, Laisun.
Yeah, so on your website, the auntie-project.com, if we like to, we can actually donate directly on your website.
Yes, you can donate by going to our website at theauntie-project.com. That requires PayPal. If you don't want to use PayPal, then you're welcome to donate at our Facebook page, which also has a donation button. And if you like the old-fashioned mail a check, we have a P.O. box, and you can do it that way too. And I'm pleased to say that we just passed our first goal, which was $10,000. We've now raised $12,000 for the Navajo Nation COVID-19 Relief Fund. And for some of you, that may sound like very little, but we are as I told Laisun, a dollar-by-dollar organization. Most of our donations are $20, $25, $10, and people who just want to do what they can to help. So getting to $12,000 in a reasonably short time, we hope that can make a big difference at the Navajo Nation, and we're going to send our first check tomorrow.
Yay. Well done. Thank you so much. Okay, looks like everyone's okay. No one has got any more questions. Mark, you have something to say?
Me? I actually was very impressed listening to it from both sides and everybody involved.
What's your favorite work?
My favorite work? The one I haven't bought yet.
Get on it.
No, it's a nice group of people. There's the people that obviously have familial connections to Raven, and there's the professional artist set and educators whom I enjoy, and we have the very famous Rose Keefe online with us, great supporter, and I think they just keep getting better with these Zoom calls, and I'm ready to be with people. So, but I enjoyed it. Thank you very much for facilitating it.
Well, I don't think we will stop doing this, even when we are allowed to be in physically together. Because Amanda, you're in Oklahoma. I mean, if you were to attend this reception, you have to fly over here, and that costs money. So I think, this will continue. I think I'm going to do this, even when we can have people in the gallery. So
absolutely, I'm a new supporter of your gallery, 100%.
Thank you, Amanda. And I'm so glad that people respond to it and respond to what I do. So my main mission is to promote art because I love art. So what can I say? I think it's, everyone's have a great time. So go to my website, laisunkeane.com, and Amanda's website, theauntie.project.com, to help out, to donate. But the main thing is please visit my website to see Raven's work. They are amazing. They are lots of fun. I have a lot of fun working with her, also to look at her works and be involved in staging her work. So thank you everybody for joining this Zoom call. We'll see you at the next one. Okay, so thank you so much. Let's listen to more ABBA.
All right, the aunties love you, Raven. You take care of yourself out there.
Everyone,
Bye.
supporting. I so appreciate it. I'm so love. Thank you so much for coming and supporting and listening to me talk about my work and joining this Zoom call.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, when you're in Oklahoma, come see us. We need to see you. Dad needs to see you. Yes, very good. And make sure Mama comes up here. We hadn't seen her in a while either.
Yeah, will do.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Everybody be safe.
I know.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm trying to hold you back, but you are stronger.